Hey everyone, it's Win. Hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I haven't been able to update more today, and I certainly thank everyone for your participation during the race. It's been great on Facebook. I'm going to replay the race a couple times here. I'm going to try to do it at 8x speed and comment on a couple things. So here's the cruisers. They leave on Friday at about 3 o'clock, and by 7-ish in the morning on Saturday, Infinite for Diversion is up as Big Sable with the majority of the fleet off with Little Sable. Astounding. This is just amazing. We didn't really expect on Friday night for the winds to be that good in the middle of the lake. We thought the edges were going to be good, particularly so this western shore and the northern part of the lake was going to be good. And we're a little surprised for Infinite Diversion. We're second year in a row now, Joe Haas, to make it all the way across the lake overnight. And really, a lot of the cruisers did. They basically pointed their boats to where they were going and, towards the finish and went a little left of rum, certainly in general, but not terribly far left of the rum line. So great progress. They go on Saturday, and we start to see a little bit of the lighter air show up in that they battled on Saturday in the morning. You can see boats start to jibe around a little bit, get sort of they don't have that straight line aim for the finish, go fast look. They're jibing back and forth as the race becomes sort of more of a downwind race and slows down. And then we see Infinite Diversion. Focus on them for a second. Ignore the racers at the bottom. Enter the Manitous. Colombo Breeze, which is the white boat right here, is going to go around the Manitous. And watch the difference in boat speed between the two of them. This is going to be a pattern for a couple of days, right? And is that watch how much Colombo Breeze gains by going around the Manitous. See, they'll catch Infinite Diversion, but boy, they're a lot closer. So that's pretty cool. Let me back up a little bit here, and let's go back to the racers. Because let me adjust the speed here. So they go up and start off in light breezes. Then you can see them all kind of just sort of jump right there. See them speed up all of a sudden, and then they slow back down. And you see them left of rum line, and you see them in what appears to be pretty much a southerly wind. I mean, they're spread out really widely across the lake, right? Compare this to what we saw with the cruisers. The cruisers, so admittedly a smaller fleet, were all concentrated right in here. The racers, right, this bigger fleet, obviously, are all the way across the lake from east to west. And I thought Dan did a really nice job of describing how that's indicating that winds were pretty even, not great anywhere, across most of the lake. And the people who were farthest north were the ones that sailed the least distance, kind of up the middle of the lake, and stayed in the most pressure up the middle of the lake. I think the other thing to point out, two things. Number one, it didn't really show it, but up here, the cruisers, the ones who are going through Manitou Passage, are struggling. Up here, we started to see a pattern where we had lighter winds in this area. Let me get the pen out. In this area right here, sort of in closer to shore and into the Manitous, right? And we had stronger winds, even just a little bit offshore of that. So in this area out here, and certainly outside of the Manitous. That pattern's going to hold for a couple of days. And what happened was, our big boats, right, our turbo section, as we predicted, the breezes built as we went further north in general. So these guys are still in pretty light winds. And big boats start to connect with better winds and start really hauling. This point right here, I think, El Mostro was going 16 knots at this point here, if you recall. So they were flying. They were going really, really fast. At the same time, we had, WindQuest inside of here. I can't find them right now, and I'm not gonna zoom in. But they were doing single digits at that time, and the gap close was unbelievable. Let me just do this. Take the cruising fleet off. There. So we had WindQuest at this time going 11 knots, and El Mostro going 16 knots. Different angle, different boats, tough comparison to make. But in general, as the night wore on, and now we're into, actually we're in the day here, in the day on Sunday, we continue this pattern of less pressure in, less pressure out. Let me start up playing again. So we see boats sort of fighting their way, driving through the Manitous. We see the racing fleet start to kind of, as the faster boats overhaul the slower boats, sort of form this point, right? See this point sort of aiming towards the Manitous and the Manitou Passage here, as they all kind of line up on the rum line. The guys are still spread out way left to right, but they're starting to sort of consolidate down into a point. Meanwhile, up here in the Straits of Mackinac, everyone who's getting up there is completely stopping. Not completely stopping, that's an exaggeration, but slowing down really quite a bit. So we had really nice winds here on the approach to the bridge, but when we got inside of the bridge, the velocities were very, very light, and boats really, really struggled. So that was that part of the story. That continued, and now we're into Sunday evening. We still had a little bit less pressure in here than out here. You can see right there, 4.0 knots, 9.4 knots. The question was becoming, though, once you get here, is it worth the extra distance to go around the Manitous versus sailing right in the slot there, between the Manitou Passage between the mainland and the Manitous? Tough call at this point, and a big tactical call for a lot of boats to make. Certainly at this point, if you're really doing 9.4 knots, that's indicative, and 7.4 or 8.5 isn't bad, but I think we saw 4 knots a second ago. That's a lot better. If it's, as the race wore on and it started about this point, the pressure started to even up between in here in the Manitou Passage and a little bit farther offshore. And what we found was that the advantage to going outside the Manitous wasn't as great as it had been earlier the rates when we were seeing huge differences in pressure between in here and out here. So now the boats have all made this dart, and what happens late night last night going into this morning is that all of a sudden the straits open up for business. I mean, the winds, the boat speeds really, really livened up quite a bit. And by the time I woke up this morning, which is going to be several hours from now, we essentially had one giant parade of boats formed up here. I mean, there were teeny tiny differences in individual battles that you guys watched, but pretty much from here, it's like really a big line of boats going in. And I'm sure there were a million little stories out there of a pass here and a jibe there. And, I pointed out earlier today some interesting tactics that came into play out here around Gray's Reef, as the wind was sort of taking the boats directly up in that way, and they had to think tactically about what to do. So I'm sure there was, hearts broken there also, and hearts broken in the straits as the day wore on. But from this point on, I mean, the wind is taking you straight up the shortest path. You go the shortest path and go right into the finish. So this is now 7, 8 o'clock this morning, and really all I can do is play it out from here. A couple of boats went around the Fox Islands and one around Beaver Island, and good for them for trying where we thought there was going to be more pressure, but we really, in spite of this morning's forecast, saw lots of pressure and lots of even pressure through here, southwesterly, southerly, depending on where you were, and boat speeds for all boats in the 7 to 8 knot range, which is just unbelievable. So that's the race, and that's where we are right now with a couple of last boats coming in, and a safe race. I hope a fun race for a lot of people. It sure looked like a great day of sailing this last day from up here, and weather was beautiful, and I hope everyone had a lot of fun. And I'll be online for a little while longer, but until next year, that's it for videos for me. So thanks very much, and again, if you have comments or questions, feel free to post them online. Bye.